Welcome in. Get comfortable. This is Mortimer's brother Malachi filling in this evening. Some say he is the better storyteller, but I intend to give him a run for his money tonight. Let's effing go. This is the story of the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. Somewhere in the Rocky Mountains, hidden beneath pine shadows and snow-fed rivers, a bronze chest sat untouched for years. Not in a museum. Not in a bank vault. Not behind laser grids or armed guards. Just waiting. Waiting for someone obsessed enough to solve a poem written by an aging art dealer with a taste for mythology, risk, and spectacle. And people did become obsessed. Teachers quit jobs. Families emptied savings accounts. Retirees hiked into dangerous terrain. Strangers accused one another of conspiracy. Some searchers crossed freezing rivers at night with flashlights clenched between their teeth like treasure-drunk pirates wandering through Yellowstone fever dreams. And some of them never came home. Tonight, we're diving into one of the strangest real-life treasure hunts in modern history, the legend of Forrest Fenn, the hidden chest worth millions, the cryptic poem that consumed thousands of people, and the ending that left many believers feeling cheated, haunted, or convinced the mystery was never truly solved at all. To understand the treasure hunt, you first have to understand Forrest Fenn himself. And Forrest Fenn was complicated. Born in 1930 in Texas, Fenn grew up fascinated with exploration, artifacts, and the romance of the American West. He later became a fighter pilot during the Vietnam War, surviving missions that easily could have killed him. That survival mattered. Because decades later, Fenn would say the treasure hunt was born from a confrontation with death itself. After the war, he became a wealthy art dealer in Santa Fe. His gallery attracted celebrities, politicians, and collectors. But his reputation was surrounded by controversy too. Some accused him of dealing in looted Native American artifacts. Federal investigators raided his home in 2009 during an antiquities investigation. No charges were ever filed against him personally, but the cloud lingered. And somehow, that controversy only deepened his mystique. Forrest Fenn cultivated an image halfway between cowboy philosopher and desert trickster. He told stories with just enough truth and just enough ambiguity that nobody could fully separate reality from performance. Then came the diagnosis. In 1988, Fenn was told he had kidney cancer and little time left to live. And according to Fenn, he began imagining a dramatic final act. He claimed he wanted to fill a treasure chest with gold and jewels, carry it into the wilderness, and die beside it, letting his body and fortune become one final mystery hidden in the mountains. A real-life pirate ending. He eventually survived the cancer. But the idea never left him. Years later, he turned that fantasy into something stranger. A nationwide obsession. The treasure itself sounded almost absurdly cinematic. Fenn said he used a 13th-century Romanesque bronze chest weighing around 20 pounds. Inside? Gold nuggets. Rare coins. Ancient artifacts. Jewelry. Emerald rings. Rubies. Sapphires. And perhaps most famously, a small gold frog fetish carved from prehistoric materials, which Fenn claimed was one of the rarest objects in the chest. Estimated value? Somewhere between $1 and $5 million, depending on the market and who you believed. In 2010, Fenn released a memoir titled The Thrill of the Chase. Buried within the book was a 24-line poem. 9 clues, according to Fenn. 9 clues that could supposedly lead anyone directly to the treasure. Here's where things turned volcanic. Fenn repeatedly insisted the treasure could be found by anyone using the poem alone. No advanced tools. No secret code-breaking software. Just careful thought. Which meant every line became sacred scripture to searchers. People analyzed punctuation marks like cryptographers examining wartime transmissions. They debated commas, capitalization, metaphors. Every sentence became a battlefield. The poem opened with the now legendary lines, "As I have gone alone in there, and with my treasures bold. And from there, it spiraled into cryptic directions. Begin it where warm waters halt. That single line launched thousands of theories. Did warm waters refer to hot springs? A river meeting cold snowmelt? A place named after warmth? A metaphor for life ending? Searchers mapped thermal features across the Rockies like detectives constructing murder boards. Because Fenn narrowed the search area to somewhere in the Rocky Mountains north of New Mexico and south of the Canadian border. That still left hundreds of thousands of square miles. He also said the chest was above 5,000 feet elevation. Again, still enormous. And people became consumed. Entire online communities formed around solves. Forums erupted into civil wars over interpretations. One group thought the poem pointed toward Yellowstone National Park. Others swore it was in Colorado. Others were convinced it rested somewhere in Montana. There were maps, spreadsheets, documentaries, YouTube channels, podcasts, boots-on-the-ground expeditions. The hunt evolved into something bigger than money. It became mythology. A modern American Grail quest. This is where the story darkens. Because Forrest Fenn didn't just hide treasure. He unleashed obsession. Thousands of people searched for the chest over the years. Some spent entire life savings chasing it. Marriages collapsed. Careers vanished. People developed almost religious conviction about their interpretations. And then came the deaths. At least 5 people died searching for the treasure. One drowned in a rushing river near Yellowstone. Another fell down steep terrain. Search and rescue teams repeatedly warned the public that the hunt was becoming dangerous. Authorities even pressured Fenn to end the hunt entirely. The chief of the New Mexico State Police publicly urged him to call it off after multiple fatalities. But Fenn refused. And that refusal became deeply controversial. Critics said he was reckless. That he was feeding delusion. Supporters argued the searchers made their own choices. Fenn himself often sounded oddly detached about the dangers. He maintained that the poem did not require risky behavior and insisted the treasure was not hidden in a dangerous place. Still, people kept dying. And the mythology only grew stronger. Because danger validates legends. The more peril attached itself to the hunt, the more it felt ancient and cursed and irresistible. Like something from folklore instead of modern America. As years passed without a winner, the internet mutated into a hall of mirrors. Some believed Fenn never hid the treasure at all. Others thought the chest had already been found secretly. Some theorized there were hidden codes buried throughout his memoir. People examined his interviews frame by frame. Background objects in photographs became clues. At one point, searchers were literally counting tree branches in images. There were lawsuits. Accusations. Claims of hacked emails. One woman even sued Fenn after believing he had changed the treasure's location. Another searcher was arrested after allegedly threatening Fenn over the hunt. Think about how bizarre that is. An elderly art dealer writes a poem. And suddenly strangers are spiraling into paranoia worthy of a psychological thriller. The hunt transformed people because it touched something primal. Not greed alone. Adventure. Purpose. The possibility that the modern world still contained genuine mystery. In an age where satellites map every inch of Earth and phones answer every question instantly, Forrest Fenn offered something almost extinct. The possibility of hidden wonder. And people were starving for it. Then, on June 6, 2020, Forrest Fenn announced the treasure had been found. Just like that. No dramatic reveal. No live stream. No final puzzle. Just a statement. The chest, he said, had been discovered by a man from back east. Photos appeared showing the recovered treasure chest sitting in the wilderness, coated in dirt and age. The finder initially remained anonymous. And the reaction from the community was explosive. Many refused to believe it. Because after 10 years of obsession, theories, sacrifice, and death, the ending felt strangely hollow. Searchers demanded proof. Where exactly was it found? How were the clues solved? Why keep the location secret? Forrest Fenn revealed almost nothing. For a community that had spent a decade turning the hunt into a collective mythology, the silence felt unbearable. Eventually, the finder was identified as Jack Stoof, a former journalist and medical student from Michigan. And Jack's explanation surprised people. He didn't crack some impossible hidden code. He said persistence mattered more than brilliance. According to Stoof, he focused intensely on identifying the first clue, where warm waters halt. Once he believed he had that location pinned down, the remaining clues narrowed naturally. He reportedly searched the same general area repeatedly over about 2 years before finally finding the chest in Wyoming. Most researchers now believe the treasure was hidden somewhere in Yellowstone National Park or nearby national forest land in Wyoming, though the exact spot remains debated even today. And that secrecy? It fueled even more conspiracy theories. Some believe Jack fabricated parts of the story. Others think Fenn privately guided him. A few insist the real location has never been revealed because it would expose legal problems. The mystery never fully died. It just changed shape. The treasure itself eventually went to auction. Pieces of the chest and its contents were sold individually through a series of high-profile sales. The chest reportedly contained over 20 pounds of gold and valuables. Collectors paid enormous sums for individual items because they weren't just buying gold. They were buying mythology. A nugget from the Forrest Fenn treasure wasn't merely treasure anymore. It was an artifact from one of the internet age's strangest legends. And in a way, the real treasure may never have been the chest itself. For thousands of people, the hunt gave meaning. Adventure. An excuse to disappear into forests and mountains searching for something impossible. That's powerful. Because modern life rarely leaves room for mystery anymore. Forrest Fenn cracked open a hidden door in the culture. And for 10 years, people walked through it willingly. Some emerged exhilarated. Others devastated. A few never emerged at all. Maybe that's why the story still lingers. Not because of gold. Not because someone found a box in the wilderness. But because for one strange decade, America collectively entertained the possibility that somewhere beneath mountain shadows, an unsolved legend was waiting. A real one. And maybe that possibility mattered more than the ending ever could. Somewhere tonight, deep in the Rockies, rivers still cut through stone exactly as they did before Forrest Fenn ever wrote his poem. Snow still falls across silent trails. Thermal springs still steam beneath cold night air. And if you stand alone out there long enough, with the trees creaking around you and darkness pressing against the mountains, it becomes very easy to understand why people kept searching. Because treasure hunts were never really about gold. They're about hope. About escape. About believing the map still has blank spaces. And sometimes, blank spaces are the most dangerous thing in the world. Thank you for listening to another exciting edition of Stranger Thanks. I have been your host Malachi. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, stay strange and don't go chasing waterfalls. Unless you think treasure might be waiting behind one.